Hey folks, welcome to Politics Simplified. Today we're going to be using the Policy Insight Hub GPT to go over the Laken Riley Act. It passed the Senate with a 64 to 39 vote, if I'm not mistaken. The Senate, I'm sorry, 61 to 35 or 64 to 35. I was right. It passed the Senate with a 64 to 35 vote and went to the House where it passed 263 to 156. Supposedly it is on its way to Trump to sign. Apparently that happened on the 22nd. I checked the news just prior to recording this on the 26th, and I had not seen anything about him signing it yet. I am sure that he will. Just probably going to be a matter of a day or so before he signs it. But it is a very short piece of legislation, but a very important one. So I do want to go ahead and talk about it today. Now, 12 Democrats did join to break filibuster in the Senate to get this passed. So let's go ahead and break down why this bill is so important. Now, I did go ahead and pre-do the ChatGPT stuff today. It's been running kind of slow, and I didn't want you guys to have to sit here and listen to me typing the entire time. So you'll see chats already on the screen, but that's okay. We can go through the prompts and what we talked about as we go through the video. So here you have all the details about the bill. Obviously, it was put forward by Katie Britt, senator out of Alabama. Go ahead and scroll all the way down here to look at the bill's summary. You can see here it addresses immigration enforcement and empowers states to hold the federal government accountable for enforcement decisions. This is probably the most important part of the legislation. This requires detainment for any individual that has been charged with, arrested for, convicted of, or admits to having committed burglary, theft, larceny, or shoplifting. We'll get into why that's so important a little bit further down. This also gives states the authority to sue the federal government for immigration enforcement decisions or failures, specifically when such actions or inactions result in harm, including financial harm exceeding $100. So this basically allows states to sue the federal government if they feel that their immigration policies are causing harm to their constituents. Think of things like catch and release, stuff like that. States can seek injunctive relief for decisions to release non-U.S. nationals from custody, failing to fulfill federal requirements for inspecting individuals seeking U.S. admissions, such as asylum interviews, failing to stop issuing visas to nationals of countries that unreasonably refuse to accept deported nationals, violations of parole restrictions, or failing to detain individuals who have been ordered removed from the United States. It prioritizes strict immigration enforcement, particularly for individuals involved in specific criminal offenses. So we'll go ahead and break it down Joe Rogan style to make it a little bit simpler, because a lot of this text is a whole bunch of legal jargon, even though it's short. So it is basically the federal government saying we're done messing around with immigration stuff. If you're not here legally and you're caught doing stuff like burglary, theft, or even shoplifting, DHS has to lock you up. No exceptions, no slap on the wrist kind of deals, straight to detention. It's basically like you're committing crimes and not supposed to be here. Boom, you're in custody. Here's where it gets wild. The bill gives states the powers to basically sue Uncle Sam. The federal government screws up on immigration enforcement. Think about that for a second. States could go, hey, we're losing money because you're letting people walk free. Take the feds to court, and they're not talking small potatoes here. It's got to be over $100 in damages, but still, real accountability stuff. The bill also says states can challenge the government over things like letting people out of detention when they shouldn't, failing to screen people properly, like at the border during asylum interviews, giving visas to people from countries that won't even take their deportees back, violating rules on immigration parole, which is supposed to be super limited. For anybody who isn't familiar with immigration parole, that is temporary status. It allows non-citizens to enter or remain in the United States for very specific reasons. Those can include people who don't qualify for a visa, addressing urgent humanitarian reasons, addressing a significant public benefit, say like a doctor that can do a really technical, very uncommon procedure, stuff like that. And then not detaining someone who's already been ordered to leave the U.S. So the message is basically the federal government drops the ball, states are ready to pick it up, and so you're ass in the process, which does kind of sound like how Joe Rogan would explain it. Bottom line, bill's all about getting tougher on immigration enforcement, making sure criminals don't slip through the cracks, and giving states a louder voice. Major shift to power, major move to shift power and responsibility in a way that can really shake things up. This shifts a lot of power into states' attorneys generals. I did want to dig into a bit first. The text of the bill that we mentioned earlier in the video states that this applies to individuals charged with or arrested for, in addition to being convicted of. To me, that seems to imply the suspension of due process. in favor of sending them straight to detention camps. So we went to unpack it. Basically, one thing to detain someone who's been convicted of a crime, which makes sense. I think a lot of people would agree that if you do the crime, you should be punished for doing said crime. I don't think that's an uncommon thought. Whether or not you agree on the level of punitive punishments is another debate, but I think most people aren't in favor of rampant crime. But this bill doesn't really stop there. It's saying even if you've just been charged or arrested, you're headed to detention camps. No trial, no due process. It's basically straight to jail without passing go, no collecting $200, etc. Now, obviously, we all know that being convicted or not being convicted, but being charged or arrested doesn't necessarily imply guilt. There is due process in this country for a reason. Everybody has the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. This suspends that for people that are undocumented. It doesn't care about that. This bill doesn't care about that. The plain text of this bill doesn't care about that. If you were accused of something, that's enough to send somebody to a detention camp. So think about somebody getting popped for shoplifting. You know, maybe some kid steals a pack of gum somewhere. Straight to detention camp if you can't prove you're a citizen right off the bat. That's kind of a slippery slope because it's the assumption of guilt instead of the presumption of innocence, which is not a great path to go down. I'm struggling to understand why 12 Democrats joined to break the filibuster and get this thing passed through the Senate, because Republicans absolutely needed Democrat votes to move this through the Senate. And 12 of them capitulated, which is a big surprise to me. Now, this bill is short. It's only 4 pages. It does tie into a lot of U.S. code. It's tied a lot into 8 U.S. Code 1226, which is the apprehension and detention of aliens. There's U.S. Code 1253, which are penalties related to removal. I will put links to those in the description of this video so you guys can kind of read more about it and see kind of how it assigns responsibility in terms of actually detaining undocumented immigrants. You'll see that ICE actually handles a lot of the immigration detention centers. They aren't tied to state or federal prison systems. These are independent. These are maintained by ICE. ICE has their own operational protocols around maintaining these detention centers. I'll provide links to those in the description. But AOC made a good point. She said with this bill, start looking into people that have stock in some of these publicly run prisons who are going to be running some of these detention camps. So we're going to try to take a look at that next video. We'll take a look at some of the Democrats that allowed this bill to go through. We may do the House too, but I want to say there were 40 or maybe close to 50 Democrats in the House that also voted on this. I'm trying to keep these videos a little bit shorter, so maybe if we have time, we will go over the House members and look at maybe what their interest may be. If you guys do want to know which Democrats actually voted for this bill, it was Catherine Cortez Masto and Jackie Rosen out of Nevada, John Fetterman in Pennsylvania, which I don't know what's going on with him lately. He's gotten very strange behavior here recently. Ruben Gallego and Mark Kelly out of Arizona, Maggie Hassan and Jean Shaheen out of New Hampshire, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock out of Georgia, Gary Peters and Lee Slotkin out of Michigan, and Mark Warner out of Virginia. Those are the 12 Democrats that joined with the Republicans to get this passed through the Senate. We will do another video later going over this and looking at potential reasons that they went ahead and joined them. So that is it for this one. That is basically the Laken Riley Act in a nutshell. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like this channel, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe. I hope to use this to show people what their representatives are voting for, so you can determine if you're really being represented in your best interest or not. Hopefully this makes things simpler for people to understand, and we can see what's really going on in our legislative bodies. Anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of the night. If you guys have any other bills you want me to break down, leave them in the comments. I do this as a hobby, so I will try to get these up as much as I can. But if you guys have anything you want to look at, drop it in the comments, and I'll see what we can do. You guys take care. Have a good one.